Contracts are complex, so how can buyers and sellers avoid costly legal mistakes? I'm Tim Graham and the Property Playbook starts now. Welcome to the Property Playbook, presented by Hotspotting, where each episode we empower you with expert insights and trends to thrive in today's property market. Today, I'm joined by Rex Afrasiabi, Principal of New Chapter Legal. Rex, great to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Tim. Thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to it.
Good stuff. Now, you've been in the, you've been a lawyer for over 20 years, and you've been sitting as a judge on many real estate and mortgage broker awards programs for over a decade. So I'm keen to understand, how have you seen real estate change over that period?
Real estate has evolved and changed so much during that period. Not so much real estate itself, but what goes around real estate in terms of technology, in terms of communications and the like. But I think at the core of it, it's someone entrusting someone else with mostly their biggest asset, and it's a people's person. Real estate will always be a people's person. Whether you're engaging the real estate agent or the mortgage broker or the lawyer, it's that people connection.
I agree. And you've got a couple of legal firms, so New Chapter Legal and then also Bond Conveyancing.
Bond Conveyancing.
Tell me a bit about Bond Conveyancing. Why are you different to a lot of the other conveyancers out there?
So Bond Conveyancing, I've had New Chapter Legal, which was previously called MA Legal, for over 20 years. And I'm also been, as you mentioned earlier, a judge for mortgage brokers and real estate industry awards. So I saw it as a great opening where we can assist both mortgage brokers and real estate agents provide a better service to their clients, which is the end consumer. So I teamed up with my business partner, who was an ex-CEO of two different public listed companies in real estate and in technology, and we've come up with Bond Conveyancing, which is a law firm. It's a national law firm as well, but just does conveyancing and has a really unique built by us technology piece that's really a communication piece where the clients can see exactly every step of the way, get live updates as they go, but so does the mortgage broker and the real estate agent. There's three key components.
So it brings transparency to the
across
process.
the whole process.
And obviously, in real estate here in Australia, every state has a different law. So, when you go to a conveyancer that you may have used to buy your house, doesn't mean that they can necessarily work for you on behalf of your investment when you might be buying interstate. So Bond Conveyancing has, pretty much conveyancing for all states of Australia?
It does. So we've got teams in every state. So we've got different lawyers in every state for that, because you're 100% right. Conveyancing and property transactions is a state-based legislation, not federal. So every state has its own laws and own rules around it. So we've got different teams in every state that work collaboratively together.
Yeah, great. And touch a little bit more on the technology. So I believe, is it a portal that everybody's invited into? Is it similar to PEXA?
It's very similar to PEXA. PEXA is a portal just lawyers can log into. So real estate agents and conveyancers, real estate agents and mortgage brokers and clients cannot log into that. So what we've got is a tech piece where everyone can log into it. It also, with mortgage brokers and real estate agents, it can log into their system. So they can log into their system and see live access to their data, their clients, to see what's happened. They can even program to give them SMS updates. If there's been a delay in settlement, they'll know at the same time the client knows. So if the client's calling him in a mad rush what's happened, they already know.
I think about how many times I've been involved in a real estate transaction where we're going, why isn't anything happening? And then one side thinks that they're waiting for the other side. No one really knows exactly. So this is like a game of ping pong. You get to somebody to say, well, that's actually your turn to hit it.
Exactly. Very much good way to look at it, and a good way to keep the communications open with the clients as well. That's
right. I mean, if you think about it, whether you're the mortgage broker or the real estate agent in the transaction, customers just need to know what's going on half of the time. They just want to know, are things moving? What step are we at in the process? Because as a consumer, it can be quite daunting. We're not buying real estate every day of the week. It might be something we do once, twice, maybe a couple of times in our life. So, things change a lot, and bringing some transparency to that through technology is very wise.
I think it's also wise for the mortgage broker and the real estate agents, because sometimes they refer to the lawyer, but the lawyer doesn't keep them updated. So the client's the center point where they're calling the estate agent or the lawyer or the mortgage broker for the first time. They haven't heard it. So that live communication amongst them, by the time the mortgage broker or the estate agent gets the call, they've already know what's happened, they've already tried to fix it, or they've prepared themselves for their questions.
Yeah, fair enough. And I suppose, I know you guys work with a lot of referral partners like agents and mortgage brokers who quite often get dropped off the email chain.
Yes.
So this is also a way that they can log in and see exactly where their clients' files are at.
100%. So we're purely a B2B2C business. So most law firms are B2C. Our clients are real estate agents and mortgage brokers. That's our clients, and we help service their clients.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so pivoting a little bit, let's talk about some of the things that consumers should be looking for in contracts. What are some of the traditional mishaps that they might overlook?
Do you know, contracts and property law, every transaction, every property is slightly different. There could be easements, there could be covenants, there could be various owners corporations that got works planned that you're not aware of. So I highly recommend it, whether you're a seasoned veteran, you've bought 5, 6 properties, or it's your first home buyer, get that contract review before you sign it.
Yeah, right.
Bond provides a free, complimentary, no obligation, no questions, detailed review. You get a 4 or 5 page letter that talks about what's in that particular contract and what you should look out for. Get it done. It doesn't cost you anything, just to get that peace of mind.
Yeah, right. Well, obviously, by signing a contract, you could be in a position where you want to make changes to the contract later, and it can be a very expensive exercise if it can be done at all.
It really is, and that's why it's really good. Once you get your contract review done, find out why you're buying the property. I think it's if you're buying as a developer and you want to subdivide it, and there's a covenant on the title that says you can't put more than 1 lot on it, there's a 2-lot subdivision not permitted, well, that's a big difference. So you can de-risk your acquisition by getting that review and getting some special conditions or whatever the case may be in that contract prior to you signing it, and that's the condition of your acquisition.
Yeah, right. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And tell me, what's the difference between a conveyancer and a lawyer when it comes to property?
About 6 to 7 years study. Yeah, so to become a conveyancer, it's like a 6-month course. And the conveyancing transaction is a transaction between transferring a property from one person to another. Relatively straightforward. A lot of things can go wrong. Yeah. And once they do, that's when lawyers get involved. So if you just go to a pure conveyancing firm, nothing wrong with that. But if something goes wrong, know that you're going to be liable for a lot of extra costs, because that conveyancer cannot handle it. They'll have to transfer it to a property law firm, and the property law firm will have to catch up on what's happened, charge you for that. There's a time delay in that as well. So it's a big investment when you buy a property. Yeah. I'm not saying it because I'm a lawyer, but I would highly recommend you engage a lawyer to do it. It may cost you a few $100s extra, but that peace of mind you get is worth it.
Well, that's it. You would have seen a lot of those horror stories, so you
all
learn
the
from
time.
those things.
You do, and I'm actually a lawyer that a lot of conveyancing firms go to when something goes wrong. They refer to my firm, so I see it all the time.
Yeah, okay. You're the problem fixer.
Yeah, I'm the problem fixer.
Very good. Well, listen, one of the first questions I asked you was, how you've seen, the real estate markets change over the last decade. But what trends more in recent times have you been seeing?
In recent times, it depends on which state you go. So in recent times, you see people moving out of the Victorian market, but now I feel like they're coming back into the Victorian market because the price is where it is. But also developments is real, and this is probably why there's such a housing crisis at the moment, is because developments have dried down. In the past, everyone was going to be a developer. Most mum and dads were developers doing 2-lot subdivisions. Now it's not happening anymore. People are buying, sitting and holding instead of buying, adding value, dividing it, or doing something and then selling.
Okay. That's interesting. And when it comes to your typical conveyancing fees, how do the fees change between a property lawyer and a conveyancer? Is there a big difference there?
Not big difference at all. So we do a market analysis every few months, and we're a couple $100s extra. I think we'll be $200 over what are the average conveyancing fees. Some conveyancing firms charge a lot more than us do.
Yeah, right. Okay. So tell me, from state to state, how much does a contract change? Like, how many different things as a Victorian do I need to know about a New South Wales contract?
Very different. Yeah. Very different. So in New South Wales, there's no Section 32. So in Victoria, you get this disclosure provided too, a Section 32 statement. In New South Wales, it's not like that. In Victoria, your lawyer or conveyancer will prepare the contract. In New South Wales, the real estate agent prepares the contract. So most of the negotiations transpire with the real estate agent involved, effectively.
Yeah, that's right.
So every state has got its own unique parts to it. It's important you understand it for that state.
Yeah, okay. And where are you seeing most of the transactions happening around the country at the moment?
I think Queensland at the moment is where it's hot at the moment, but I feel like Victoria is coming up, and we've seen Victoria transactions increase a lot over the last few months. Yeah,
interesting. Okay, and is there anything in particular about Victoria in a contract that people should be aware of? Like, is there any more risk in any particular state?
I don't know about any more risk in any particular state. I think Victoria, the legal system in Victoria is different. The Section 32 statement is this disclosure you provide from a vendor to a purchaser about the property is quite good, because it gives you everything that you need to know about the property before you sign it. And if something's missing in there, the buyer has protection that they can get out of the contract because it wasn't disclosed to them.
That's very good. Well, that obviously could be a large mistake that someone makes. Are there any other mistakes that you see, common in property where people are investing into a estate they might not be familiar with? Is there any sort of common mistakes that people should avoid?
I think the biggest mistakes is not looking at why you're buying it sometimes. They just go ahead and buy it. Don't look at the zonings properly. Don't look at, if they're planning to develop it, don't look at the zoning, the developments, or any restrictions on title for it. So I think it's based on not necessarily the state. State's important, but your purpose as well. So if your purpose is to redevelop it, you've got to be looking with those kind of eyes on it. If your purpose is to sit and hold on it, just make sure what you want to do with it is permitted. So if you're buying commercial and live in it, well, you may not be able to.
Yeah, that's very true. And is there ways that you use technology outside of just traditional conveyancing to sort of help with those things? Is technology catching up in this space?
Technology is definitely catching up in this space, and what we do from Bond's point of view with respect to technologies, we try to eliminate human error. So when my old law firm, if information's come in, everyone re-enters that information into PEXA, into various computer programs. We have one source, it gets reviewed, that becomes our truth, and that automatically goes everywhere. So there's no typographical errors or anything like that. So, and that kind of simple way can be implemented in other areas to just streamline the process, eliminate human error.
Amazing, very good. Well, finally, for any of our guests that are watching at home that are thinking about investing in property for the first time, what's your number one tip that you would give to them?
My number one tip, I do property differently. I try to add value. So I
like it.
Every time I buy a property, I feel like you make money on property on your acquisition, not when you sell. So when you're buying property, for me, it's looking at what value can I add to this in terms of a refurbishment, a redevelopment or something, and what's it going to cost to do that, and what's it going to be worth afterwards. And if you can do a quick feasibility to go, it's worth acquiring this, that's how I do it. It would vary if you're a doctor and you need to get negative gearing done on it. Well, then it's maybe about buying off the plan or buying something new so you get extra depreciations and stuff like that. So it's a bit personalised, but I think you make your money on your acquisition.
I love it. Bit of evaluating.
Rex,
thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, that's the play of the day. This is Ticker. We'll be right back.
You're watching Ticker. We'll have more in just a few minutes.